to invite Swamiji to the podium, or rather, take the podium to Swamiji to give us his message on economic and democratic values in the nation. Thank you, Swamiji.
बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, श्री गुरुदेव महाराज की जय। हर हर महादेव। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता, नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमो नमः। All honorable minister and member of government of Republic of Trinidad Tobago, honorable respected speaker, house representative and chief guest Sri Jagadev Singh ji, Swami Sri Prakashanand ji, Chinmaya Mission, His Grace Archbishop Charles J. Gordon, Dr. Balmiki Arjun ji, Professor Dilip Dan, President, and General Secretary Sathi Anandamai Giri ji, all organization and all minister and member of government, all my dear friend, and all my divine souls. Today, we are discussing on this stage, Brahma Vidya Peetham, in this stage, we have the speaker, one democracy. My parliament speaker in India, he was there 1 week, and he spoke very nice in the parliament. Very nice speech. Indian people are calling him parliament speaker, Hindi Lok Sabha Adhyaksh. You are using speaker of house. All newspaper giving them what he spoke very nicely. So we are discussing democracy, good governance, spirituality, and economics. Our speaker, they will present. I'd let Swamiji give blessing to everybody. Abraham Lincoln, on November 19, 1863, he delivered what is a democracy. Very popular word. He told, government of the people, by the people, for the people. Gist has come. In this word, he proclaimed the whole picture of the goal of democracy. In history, many nations have done many experiments on the foundation of democracy. Monarch, and then imperialistic, communistic, socialistic, and welfare. But at present, many thinkers declare democracy system is the best for governance. So my chief guest and speaker, will present own idea, ideology, opinion, and vision of the democracy. Democracy includes representative democracy, constitutional democracy, parliamentary, presidential, and participate democracy. After that, many type of democracy is running. So, in Trinidad, because from many years I am working here to propagate the culture, philosophy of India. So, we try to know democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. As you are looking the history of the Bharat Mata, India, a very good, successful, ideal democracy, biggest democracy of the world. First example of democracy, successful democracy, is the Ram Rajya, Prabhu Ram. Sri Ram presented in the Ramayana, 300 Ramayana in different languages. Everybody presented the ideal of democracy through the Ram, Sri Ram. People welfare, first priority, peace and prosperity, so many things, righteousness. Second example in our history, our forefather came from India. Second example is a great example. Ideal democracy depends on universal moral law. Universal moral law, period of name is a Dharma Rajya. Dharma Rajya, Dharmajat Yudhishthir presented. Dharmaraj Yudhishthir presented democracy. So, rule was equality, fairness, accountability, leader, and decision guided by righteousness, encourage the inner discipline, ethical living for everyone. Third example, ideal, is the golden kingdom, Sarana Rajya, by Chandragupta Vikramaditya. Hindu New Year, they are celebrating on the date of Chandragupta Vikramaditya. A complete truth, Satya, no corruption, injustice, and natural harmony between human nature and divinity. Last. Fourth is a King Ashok the Great. Ashok the Great. His kingdom was ABC. A for Afghanistan, B for Burma, Myanmar, now new name, and Lanka, Sri Lanka. This was the border of the Ashok, big kingdom. And he did great work, but on the basis of Buddhism. Buddhist philosophy he accepted and propagated. He propagated many countries, Southeast Asia, Japan to Korea, and then everywhere. Then that's very great kingdom. So, my parliamentary speaker will speak on the democracy, how type of democracy in this country, what is a crisis, how to growing day by day. My friend, Dr. Valmiki Arjun, Modi ji was in July month and last year, 2025, I and Ananda seated side by side in the program. First time I asked, Doctor, are you always reading your article in newspaper on the economics? Oh, right article, deep meaning of the economy. So I asked to Dr. Dan, please, I want to talk one day with Mr. Valmiki Arjun. But he organized, he came in the program. Yeah, thank you, doctor. Yeah. So, in the presence of Prime Minister Modi then, very nice. His subject, very nice subject, I like, Dharma to Development, spiritual blueprint for economic revival. Dharma to Development. As I read heading, I asked Ananda, what is development? What is growth? What is progress? Why he's taken the development? Dr. Dan told economic development, very popular word. So he used the development. But dharma, righteousness. Without dharma, without righteousness, without ethics, morality, then politics and economy will be dry. It will be dry. But dharma giving in our Veda mantra, abhudaya nihastreyasa siddhi sa dharma. This life and whole life will be happy. Then making the happy life, that is a dharma, righteousness. Is in the politics, in economy, should be in control, in the discipline. Dharma is a teaching how we live with the discipline. That is a second dharma told. Very nice word. Mata bhumi putro ham prithibhya. Oh, we are the children of Mother Earth. We are the. So as this earth is a mother, this land is a mother, so behave as a mother. But economy, structure of economy, going good work. Because production, economy thing, production, distribution, consumption of goods and services, society. And trade, manage the trade, money, resources, employment. But best word I like, Dr. Arjunji, standard of living. Economy always taking standard of living. But beginning, I was happy, but not enough. Second word economics has given, standard of life. Without standard of life, living of the standard of living is a dry. Quality of the life, that is a necessary quality of life. So today, one thing more, GPD, gross, gross and, So, this is the measurement, how to know this country is growing, how country is rich, wealth. So for this process, all economics, they are doing the work. But that is dependent totally Western economy. 100% Western economy I'm not accepting. But economy day by day, year to year, changing. What is a paradigm shifting? Shifting. Always new word coming. As a modernity, always changing. Pre-modern period, modern period, post-modern period. Now the thinker is telling alpha modernity, beta modernity. You read everything available. But this economy, I read the 3 books. So I'm speaking on the basis of that 3 books. One book, economy is a moral science. Moral science. Our economy telling communism, socialism, capitalism. They have one thing. Who is a man? This economy for whom? For man. What is a man? He gave the economical being. He want to clothes, food, house, the economical being. 3 great philosophers came. I'm reading their always book, buying book, reading book. But not so 100% accepting. Economical being, you are the economical being. Darwin, biologist, told man is a developed animal, progressive animal. Yeah. From the monkey to man. I'm not accepting that also. Third, Freud, great psychologist, very popular, but not accepting. What is a man? Thus 2 books came last week. Man is a sexual being, sensual being. He developed, big book he wrote. I completed that book, I'm not happy. One-sided about the man. I remember Vivekananda went in America, 1893. People asked, what is your opinion about the man? He gave, man is a spiritual being. He wants to love, sympathy, compassion, help. Everybody, whole American, New York newspaper, big article wrote, what thought of Vivekananda? I have all volume, his thought, I have Vivekananda. So first book, economy is a moral science. Mirad, professor wrote. Other, he wrote, technology with human face. Economy is growing, but no human face. Nature going finish, pollution is growing, ozone is down. No. Technology of the should be with human face. Third book, Mr. Richard, he told, I like economy. Without economy, no progress. People will be beggar. What is his meaning? He told, I want cultural economy. Cultural economy. This word I like, cultural economy. Because standard of living, we are collecting many things. Food, house, and then many things. We be prosperous, no problem. You had all everything. But don't be above the rich. Only so, big car, big house, standard of living, that standard of living, no limitation. So I will talk then. But big quality Western economy. Has a new word has come, economy. Economy is not my subject. My subject is a socio-spiritual on the base of culture. Maya and Ananda propagating. Sometime discussing to my dear doctor, peacefully listening and giving answer. So, he telling economic rationality, economic culture, and economic utility are many words. Doctor, one day I want to, after this program, to sit with you. My confusion should be finished. One man asked, why you are sadhu? How you are sadhu? I learn to be sadhu. I learn wantlessness life. Wantlessness life. 2 cloth is enough. 2 roti morning and 2 rice dal evening, that is enough. Not so many food, so many clothes, so many things. Wantlessness life, that is a sadhu life. No desire. You have nothing after that inside, laughing, smiling, making joke. I have no burden, no desire, anything. You have more standard of living, more desire, more achieve the material, the richness to sow. But don't follow my life, you follow your life. No. Due to this, another don't take his name, but I want to take doctor name with your permission. Rich people, elite group of the world, you understand, jelly apetine. I think you know jelly apetine. Rich man, 300 leader, intellectual, name him high. They are going to enjoy his place with the 14 to 16-year girl. This life, I will not explain. Everybody in competition for luxurious life. They are not believe in dharma, not enjoyment. Enjoyment, luxurious life. 1, 2 more, then I'm going to stop. One book I found, read. Who wrote? Galbraith. Who is Galbraith? Ambassador of America in India, 2 terms. He wrote one book, Affluent Society. Affluent Society, everything you can achieve, what you are thinking, you will be in hand. Affluent Society. So, that book, please buy and read that book. He wrote, India, very rich country, but Indians are poor. He wrote, chapter to chapter. Pandit Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, went to America. President of America, they are given introduction. He was seated, billion, trillion rich people between them. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the modern Western mind. But when the asking, sir, Pandit Nehru, Prime Minister of India, you are seated trillion and billion among the people of America. Oh, Nehru told, inside Indian genes appeared. He told, good introduction. But in our mind, our lesson, our teaching is, if you are around the philosopher, teacher, sadhu, sant, among that who renunciate the whole world, among them sitting, then that is my credit. Among the rich people, that is not my credit. My finish. I'm talking, I like economic development. I like richness. I like food and cloth, but I don't like the luxurious life, 5 types of luxurious life. Again, I am going to organize the economics conference. Ananda, I discussed many, too much. I want to discuss with the people how the luxuriousness is spoiling is spoiling the relation, spoiling the family fragmented structure. No. Okay. Now, I will not, economy always telling, greatest good for the greatest number. Greatest good for greatest, very good motto. Now my next speaker is His Grace Archbishop Charles J. Gordon. Good pronunciation? Gordon, not garden. Gordon. when I sit 3 times I meet with you, always laughing. I feel I'm sitting in a garden, but you are golden. Okay. Golden, always golden. Yeah. So Archbishop Ji, 3 times I discussed. You have given many books, Bible, everything. I reading. You will present only 3 lines, I'm telling. Before what biological evolution, we are in the race of evolution, progress. Biological evolution, that finished. Second stage came psychological evolution. We are at present in psychological evolution due to the anxiety, tension, not sleeping, confusion, because we are psychological evolution period. But now we all, Brahma Vidya Peetham, and then Swamiji, Chinmaya Mission, and then Archbishop Ji. Third stage coming up evolution is spiritual evolution. When the spiritual evolution will come, then peace and love, sympathy, balance, harmony will come. This thought is not mine. This thought is a great philosopher of Yogi Arvind. Arvind told man should be Superman. This process is a necessary. This system is a necessary. Who will do? Time will do. Man, politician, they can't do that. Time flowing, they do. But all politician, leader, and all sociologist people jointly help that thing. So, sir, how the spiritual evolution will be complete? So, now you will at last present. Okay? Okay. Then Swamiji has come. 1 hour before he informed I'm coming, I became very happy. You are looking very lean and thin, but doing hard work, whole night, day. No, I ask any book you have, this book? Panchadasi. I know I have no Panchadasi. How to know, realize your soul, that is a Panchadasi. I'm searching, I found, I in the India. So this is a speaker, Ananda also at last. Please listen to all the speaker, make the note, make the thought. First of all, Dr. Dan, now hand over to Dr. Dan, you handle. Hari Om Tassa Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasisyate Hari Om Shanti.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. I think he deserves a little round of applause. We want to welcome our Honorable Member of Parliament for Tabakit and Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Mr. Sean Sobers. Also want to welcome Dr. Aina Ali, Deputy Speaker of the House and Member of Parliament for Princestown. And there are several other distinguished people in the audience that we will recognize as we go along. But it is really an opportunity to have our Member of Parliament for this area, Mr. Sean Sobers, Honorable Mr. Sean Sobers, bring some greetings for us. I know he's a very busy gentleman. He's taken up a lot with the CARICOM affairs, and he's in the media a lot these days, and he's not sleeping. We can see it in his eyes. But we want to welcome you, Minister, to come and bring greetings and an address to this wonderful audience that we have here today. So please, a round of applause to the Minister, please.
Sitaram, and good evening to everyone here present. I am extremely happy to be here. Time constraint, as always, is something that we have to juggle as MPs and as ministers. But what was most important to me, apart from any request that I received from Swamiji and Anandaji, was being present as a Catholic, not as practicing as I would like to be, Your Grace, but definitely being present here when I knew that you were going to be here as well too. And I think a gathering in Tabakit, where we would have presence of leaders of these types of faith together demonstrates truly what a magnificent country Trinidad and Tobago is. Swami Brahma Swarups Anandaji, Peethadish and founder of the Brahma Vidya Peetham International, the Honorable Jagdev Singh, Speaker of the House of Representatives, His Grace Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon, distinguished ministers of government, parliamentary secretaries, and members of parliament, members of the diplomatic corps present. And I also wish to specially acknowledge Dr. Valmiki Arjun, economist and lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Sri Amit Prakash Thakuru, Second Secretary at the Indian High Commission, Professor Dilip Dan Presman, President of the Brahma Vidya Peetham International, Sadhvi Anandamayi Jiriji, Secretary General, who I call Ananda all the time, Mr. Rudranath Maharaj, Principal of the Hewarding Law School, Mr. Surajdev Mangru, President of the NCIC, Mr. Arvind Singh, First Vice President of the NCIC, Mrs. Usha Ramrup Ramjit, President of the Kabir Panth Association, and Brother Faiz Mohammed, National Spiritual Coordinator of the Sri Satya Sai Organization. Religious leaders, educators, principals, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening again. I'm truly honored to be here with you this evening. It is a privilege for me as a member of Parliament for Tabakit to welcome you to this constituency, a place we proudly call home. As we host this important and timely program, the conscience of democracy, ethics, good governance, and national welfare. This is more than just a theme. It is a call to reflection, a call to responsibility, and a call to a nation. Because when we speak about democracy, we often focus on systems, institutions, and elections. But at its core, democracy is not just about structures, it's about values. It is about how we lead, how we serve, and most importantly, how we treat one another as citizens of this great nation. And that is why tonight's conversation is so important, because we must recognize that good governance, ethical leadership, and spirituality are not separate ideas. They are deeply connected. They must work together if we are to build a stronger Trinidad and Tobago. Good governance gives us direction. Ethics gives us integrity. And spirituality gives us purpose. Without good governance, we have no structure. Without ethics, we have no trust. And without spirituality, we lose our sense of compassion, humility, and responsibility to each other. When these three come together, governance guided by ethics and grounded in spirituality, we create leadership that is not only effective, but is also meaningful, just, and people-centered. And that is the kind of leadership our country needs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a time where societies across the world are facing challenges, social, economic, and moral. In such times, it becomes even more important for us to return to our core values, to strengthen the moral and spiritual foundation upon which our great nation is built. That is why initiatives like this are so significant. This program creates a space for dialogue, reflection, and unity. It brings together individuals from different religions, different professions, and different walks of life, all with a shared commitment to the betterment of our society. Here tonight, we see that diversity, and I must comment, it is a beautiful thing. We have leaders from various faiths, reminding us of the importance of spiritual grounding. We have educators shaping the minds and character of our young people. We have policymakers and public servants working to create systems that serve people. Each of us in our own way has a role to play in building this nation. And while our roles may differ, our purpose must be the same: to create a Trinidad and Tobago that is peaceful, inclusive, and prosperous for all. As a member of Parliament for Tabaquite, I'm especially proud that this constituency continues to host initiatives like this, initiatives that bring people together, encourage meaningful conversation, and inspire collective action. Because real progress does not happen in isolation. It happens when we come together, when we listen, when we learn, and when we work as one people. And as we look toward the future, we must ask ourselves, what kind of society do we want to build? Do we want a society driven only by progress, or one guided by principles? Do we want development without direction, or growth with purpose and responsibility? The answer is clear. We must build a nation where integrity matters, where leaders are accountable, and where every decision is guided by what is right, not just what is easy. We must build a society where our young people are not only educated, but also grounded in values, where our institutions are strong, but also fair and compassionate, and where our communities are not only developed, but also united and peaceful. And that begins with every one of us. It begins with how we treat one another. It begins with how we lead in our own spaces. And it begins with our willingness to work together across differences for the greater good. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of Trinidad and Tobago does not depend on any one individual. It depends on all of us, working together, guided by shared values and a common vision. Let this program serve as a reminder that ethics, governance, and spirituality are not separate paths. They are one path, leading us toward a better nation. Let us leave here tonight inspired not only by the discussions, but by a renewed commitment to do our part, to lead with integrity, to act with compassion, and to serve with purpose. Together, we can build a Trinidad and Tobago that is not only stronger, but kinder, not only more developed, but more united, and not only successful, but truly fulfilled as a people. Let us move forward together to create a peaceful, happy, and prosperous society for all. Thank you, and may God continue to bless our great nation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sobers. I'd ask you to approach as you are. Swamiji has a little offering for you. While Swamiji does this shawl and rose, we'd like to also recognize in the audience, there are several persons here that have come, each and every one of you, in a special way. We have the Pandits Baldev Maharaj, Pandit Vigyan Dharamdas and his wife, Leela Dharamdas. We have Pandit Neil Dave Prasad from Florida. We have Miss Fiona Luping Wah, Miss Anissa Sibu, Head of Pharmaceuticals, and I'm looking directly at our Speaker of the House here. We have Mr. Yes. Okay. We will arrange that for him. Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. Also in the audience we have tonight Mr. Ronald Chakri, Mr. Sherwin Sinat and Mrs. Patricia Sinat, Mr. Raj Jadu and family, Mr. Dave Suku and family, Mr. Anand Prasad, and many others which we'll get to in a little bit. But right now, I want to invite Dr. Shivanand Maharaj and Narendra Maharaj to give us a little musical interlude. Both of these gentlemen, brothers, extremely talented musicians, world-renowned, and extremely qualified musical educators. Dr. Shivanand Maharaj is a Hummingbird Gold Medal recipient and is a lecturer at UWI in classical music. He's also principal of the Shiv Sangeet School of Music. In fact, if you were to read the newspaper today, I think it was the Express, you would read one of his students, I think it's a Sharice Khan. She was featured in today's newspaper. Thank you, Shivanand, for providing the foundation for music for so many students, including my own kids. Thank you very much. And I will talk about Narendra after. So we ask for a small musical interlude before we go on with the program. Thank you.
You are viewing Real TV's live broadcast of Brahma Vidya Peetham International's The Conscience of Democracy, Ethics, Good Governance, and National Welfare. Brought to you with the kind compliments of the Fix-It Center and Suku's Limited.
For dry goods, bar supplies, and all your favorite beverages, visit Suku's Limited, located at number 70 Queen Street, Marabella. We supply local groceries, mini-marts, bars, lounges, caterers, home entertainers, and everyone in between. Your trusted importer, distributor, and retailer. Call us today at 298-9989 or email sales@sukus.com.
2050 install, yes, the Adina 12K Flex series are back in stock and these are going fast. Here's a look at some of our actual installations so you can see the finishings for yourself. Tidy chunking, level mounts, and clean workmanship every time. Fast cooling, energy efficient, quiet, durable, and of course, clean and professional installation every time. We have limited stock and the last shipment sold out in days. This is the Fix-It Center's most requested AC units. It's perfect for bedrooms, offices, and small living spaces. Get your unit installed for 2050 right here at the Fix-It Center. You can visit us at Lightpole 109 Monroe Kunupia or give us a call at 434-1563. $99.95 for this circular saw. This is the total 1400 watts, 7¼ inch circular saw. Pop-up power, 1400 watts pushing 4800 RPM. So when you're cutting, it's actually cutting. Clean cuts through board, framing, and ply. No struggle. Adjustable cutting depth and bevel cuts up to 45 degrees for angle work. It comes with a 24 teeth circular saw blade and an extra pair of carbon brushes, so you are ready to go. And once again, it's only $599.95. So stop fighting with your tools. Upgrade to the 1400 watts now. Available now at the Fix-It Center. You can visit us at Lightpole 109 Monroe Kunupia or give us a call at 434-1563.
For dry goods, bar supplies, and all your favorite beverages, visit Suku's Limited, located at number 70 Queen Street, Marabella. We supply local groceries, mini-marts, bars, lounges, caterers, home entertainers, and everyone in between. Your trusted importer, distributor, and retailer. Call us today at 298-9989 or email sales@sukus.com.
$599.95 for this circular saw. This is the total 1400 watts, 7¼ inch circular saw. Pop-up power, 1400 watts pushing 4800 RPM. So when you're cutting, it's actually cutting. Clean cuts through board, framing, and ply. No struggle. Adjustable cutting depth and bevel cuts up to 45 degrees for angle work. It comes with a 24 teeth circular saw blade and an extra pair of carbon brushes, so you are ready to go. And once again, it's only $599.95. So stop fighting with your tools. Upgrade to the 1400 watts now. Available now at the Fix-It Center. You can visit us at Lightpole 109 Monroe Kunupia or give us a call at 434-1563.
Thank you very much. So you see the world class we have right here. Thank you, Shivanan and Narendra. Our next speaker is Dr. Valmiki Arjun. Dr. Arjun is a lecturer at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, where he currently lectures in finance, economics, and statistics at the Department of Management Studies. Prior to joining the UWI, he lectured at the University of Nottingham in the United Kingdom and at their campus in China. He received his PhD and MSc degrees in financial economics from the University of Nottingham. Dr. Arjun currently serves on the Council of the Institute of Banking and Finance of Trinidad and Tobago. He's also a member of several professional international bodies, including the Royal Economic Society, the Leverhulme Institute for Globalization and Economic Policy, and the Western Economics Association. He also travels regularly internationally to present at many economic and financial conferences. In addition, he supervises MSc and PhD theses at UWI and has published several of his research studies in the field of financial economics in a number of international peer-reviewed academic journals. He's often called upon to give commentary on the many economic matters facing Trinidad and Tobago. We are all aware of the economic downturn we face as a nation and the pessimism about revival. but we must have hope. It is my pleasure to invite Dr. Arjun to speak to us on From Dharma to Development, Spiritual Blueprints for Economic Revival. Please welcome Dr. Arjun with a warm round of applause.
Sitaram, everyone. Jai Shri Ram. Swami Brahma Swarupananda Ji, founder of the Brahma Vidya Peetham International. Feature speaker, Honorable Mr. Jagdev Singh Ji. Special guest, His Grace Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon. Swami Prakashananda Ji, founder and Acharya of the Chinmaya Mission of Trinidad and Tobago. Honorable members of government, Shri Amit Prakash Thakur, Second Secretary, Indian High Commission. Mr. Rudranath Maharaj, Principal of the Hugh Wooding Law School. Sadhvi Anandaji. Mr. Surajit Mangruji, President of the NCIC. Mrs. Usha Ramrup Ramjit, President of the Kabir Pant Association, and Brother Faiz Mohammed, National Spiritual Coordinator, Sri Satya Sai Organization. And of course, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests tonight, I bid you all a very, very good evening. So I want to start off with a story. One moment in time that was so profound, it changed the course of an entire civilization. Around the year 300 BC, a young rishi, who I consider to be a Maharishi because of my profession, his name was Chanakya, and he arrived at the court of Dhanananda, who was at that time the most powerful king in northern India, perhaps the most powerful king in India. Now Chanakya he had sharp features, but he was very poorly dressed and he was very disheveled. He looked as the kind of man that powerful rooms tend to dismiss even before he opened his mouth. But when he went into the room, he opened his mouth. And what came out was so precise, a cold-eye dissection of the kingdom's weaknesses, their economic and financial stresses, their military vulnerabilities, their leadership failures, that the king ended up doing what a lot of insecure, powerful men always do when they were confronted with the truth that he could not handle. He had him thrown out, humiliated, dragged from the court, and thrown into the dust. Now, most men at that moment would have gone home. They would have told themselves, well, I tried. And then they would wait for somebody else to fix what they could have seen was broken. But here's the thing, Chanakya, he did not go home. What he did was untie his shiksha, which was the sacred knot that Brahmin scholars had at that point in time, and he made a vow. He said, I will not tie this knot again until I have dismantled this kingdom and built something worthy in its place. No committee, no petition, no waiting for permission. If the change was going to happen, it would have to begin with him. So he found a young man named Chandragupta. He trained him, he armed him with strategy, with economic and financial knowledge, economic knowledge and knowledge of governance, philosophy. And together, they brought down the Nanda Empire and built the Maurya dynasty, which was the first unified empire in Indian history. Now, here's the thing. Chanakya did not defeat that king with an army, at least not at first. He defeated him with strategy, with patience, and with purpose. With the unshakable conviction that a kingdom built on arrogance, on the misuse of power, and on the neglect of its people carries within it the seed of its own destruction. Chanakya just knew where to water it, and today, Chanakya is known as the father of Indian statescraft, a pioneer of Vedic economics, and many regard him as the father of Vedic economics. So, why am I telling you this in an ashram tonight in Trinidad and Tobago in the year 2026? Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have seeds of our own. We have seeds that need planting. We have seeds that we are already watering, but there are those that have been planted and are yet to be watered. Now, when we talk about seeds, there's no more fertile ground, no more neglected one than the question of duty. Many of us are performing our duty. Many of us might not be performing our duty. Now let me first take you to chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna is speaking to a paralyzed Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And he says something that some of us might think has no business being as economically relevant as it is. He says, Karmane vadikaraste, ma paleshu kadachana, ma karma palahe turbhu, ma te sanghostva karmani. Basically, it means, let right deeds be thy motive, not the fruit which comes from them. Nishkam karma yoga, action without attachment to personal reward. Now, yes, that's beautiful philosophy, right? Lovely for the ashram, but what does that have to do with foreign exchange? Because what is part of our forex problem, if not the exact opposite of Nishkam Karma Yoga? For decades, we've been enthralled with the fruits of the energy sector that we ignored our duty to developing the non-energy sectors. But there's another dimension to it. Commercial banks, for example, using scarce, precious foreign exchange to build their own fruit, their own profits, investing scarce forex into overseas markets to pad their own returns, rather than channeling it fairly and equitably into the local economy as their duty demands. Allocations, less about productive need and more about who has the right connections, the right high-value customer that brings more business to the bank. Now here's the thing, the system is not broken, It's working exactly as the people inside it designed it to work for themselves. And nowhere is that more visible, more inexcusably visible than our pharmaceutical sector. In the past, special permissions granted to certain companies to import essential medicines, but others were denied. No transparent criteria, no public accountability, just access for those who knew the right people, perhaps were well politically connected, made the right calls. That is not a procurement decision. That was politics wearing a stethoscope. And of course, people paid the price. Ordinary people who walked into a public health facility and were told their CDAP medication was unavailable. It existed, just not necessarily for them. Not unless they could go to the pharmacy and afford to pay the more expensive prices, which unfortunately many could not. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a failure of Raj Dharma, the sacred duty of a government towards its people. Now, Chanakya was unambiguous in his writings. He said the king's happiness is the happiness of his subjects. Their suffering is his failure. No asterisk, no footnote reading except during fiscal consolidation. Their suffering is the king's failure, full stop. And he also diagnosed why this happens. He wrote that the greatest threat to a nation's treasury is not the enemy at the border, it is the rot within. Self-seeking officials. Now, I'm not speaking here strictly about politicians or specifically about anyone. I'm speaking about officials at all levels in society. Skimming from the flow of public wealth so naturally, so habitually, they no longer even notice that they're doing it. Like fish drinking water. Now, I'm not here to accuse any individual. I'm here to name a system. And the teaching is clear. You cannot fix a systemic problem with the technical solutions alone. You fix it by changing what people believe they are fundamentally for. Are you a public servant? Are you a politician? Then your dharma is service. That is your Kurukshetra. And like Arjun, you don't get to put down your bow because the battle at that time is inconvenient. Now, if Raj Dharma is the how of governance, then strategy is the what. And nowhere has that been clearer than the question this nation has, for many times, been avoiding for almost, or if not over, 50 years. What are we actually building? What are we actually diversifying into? Now, in the Mahabharata, the Pandavas spent 13 years in exile. They were stripped of their kingdom, their treasury, their army, gone. By any measure, the Pandavas might have been finished. But they didn't waste that exile, now did they? Arjun mastered celestial weapons. Bhim, he forged new physical supremacy. Yudhishthira deepened his knowledge of diplomacy, governance, and warfare. they didn't just survive this exile, they used it to their advantage, deliberately, purposefully. So when they returned, they weren't simply reclaiming a throne. They were fundamentally a very transformed force. Now, Chanakya teaches exactly this. Periods of constraint are not punishment. They're a nation's greatest opportunity to build what it never had. New sectors, new skills, new alliances, new capabilities. You see, the wise king diversifies when resources are scarce, not after they recover. Scarcity, when properly channeled, is strategy. Now, Trinidad and Tobago was in economic exile for nearly a decade now. Falling energy revenues, a stubborn foreign exchange squeeze, this petrodollar kingdom almost virtually gone. But exile is only a tragedy if you waste it. We have agriculture, we have manufacturing, food processing, tourism, with much potential to develop technology, pharmaceutical manufacturing, a diaspora network that is embedded in the world's fastest growing economies. These are our celestial weapons that are waiting to be mastered. The Pandavas returned from exile and they won the greatest war ever fought. Not because fortune smiled on them. Yes, they were on the side of Dharma, but also because they used every year of their wilderness to master new capabilities. So the question for us is very simple, but very urgent. What new capabilities are we diversifying into? But diversification within our borders, that's only half the equation. Because what Chanakya understood and what the Pandavas demonstrated is that transformation also requires new alliances. You can't build a new economy on your own. Now, I just want to go to the Ramayana now. When Sita Ma was taken, Sri Ram had nothing. No army, no treasury, no institutional advantage. What he had, though, was his unshakable dharma and his will, his sheer grit to fight. So he built alliances. Not alliances with kingdoms afar, He looked into the wilderness where he was, under pressure. And he built alliances with the overlooked, with the forgotten. Sugriv, a king written off by the world. He built alliances with Jambavant, who was elderly, but wise beyond measure. And of course, Sri Hanuman, whose power was so immense, he didn't even realize how immense it was at that point in time. None of them were obvious allies, you would think, but every single one of them were transformational. That coalition, forged in crisis, but bound by purpose, crossed oceans and brought down what was undoubtedly the most powerful kingdom of that age. No treasury funded it, but Dharma built it. That is the kind of foreign policy manual that no school of diplomacy has ever had the wisdom to touch or to teach. Now, Trinidad and Tobago is standing in its own forest. Energy revenues falling, traditional markets shifting. The world is reorganizing itself with very little concern for small nations that might not be paying attention. And this instinct, the dangerous instinct, is to look back towards Ayodhya, towards the familiar, towards what is comfortable, towards dependencies that aren't always that reliable. Now, Sri Ram, however, he didn't look back, even though he could have called upon Ayodhya's army, but he didn't. He looked around in his surroundings and he built new alliances. Now, our Prime Minister has shown this instinct, and I think it does deserve some recognition. She stressed the need for TNT to enter new trading agreements with other parts of the world, not to leave CARICOM, but to expand the number of countries and regional trading blocs that we trade with. In addition to that, we made new engagements with Kuwait, a landmark agreement with the UAE, a bid for the UN Security Council seats, the Global Biofuels Alliance with India, a nation that we are now beginning to find its Hanumans, its Jambavants. Now, Chanakya called allies the seventh pillar of a strong state. That's not ribbon-cutting diplomacy, it is strategic architecture. It's the kind that determines whether a small nation survives the next commodity cycle or whether we get swallowed by it. And of course, there's India. When Prime Minister Modi last year called our Prime Minister Bihar Ki Beti, the daughter of Bihar, That was not diplomatic courtesy. That was civilizational memory speaking. What binds us is not merely interest. It is blood, it is scripture. It is everything that is alive in this ashram tonight. Sri Ram didn't choose Hanuman because it was convenient. He chose him because the bond was real. And we have that bond. We've always had it with India. And now is the time to build on it in technology, in pharmaceuticals, in trade, with the seriousness that two nations bound by blood and philosophy have owed each other for generations. Always remember, the greatest alliances in history were not forged in the comfort of a palace. They were forged in a forest. And now, since we're on the topic of alliances, I want to touch on something a bit more complex, because not every alliance is comfortable, and not every decision a leader makes is going to be popular. Now, Chanakya, in his writings, he describes a concept known as the mandala, which is the circle of states. What he says is that your immediate neighbor might not necessarily be your strongest ally. It might not necessarily be your most natural ally, but the state beyond your neighbor, the distant power, they can be your natural ally. They can be a stronger ally, if not your strongest ally. Geopolitical positioning, he argued, must be based on strategic reality, not ideological comfort, not sentiment. Now, the Prime Minister's approach to navigating TNT's relationships in a rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape reflects exactly this type of difficult pragmatism. And I think we have to be honest enough to acknowledge it. Because here's what the Gita teaches about this type of dilemma. Arjun was on the battlefield, and he's not facing a simple kind of enemy. He's facing people he loves, people he's bound to, people whose claims on him are very real, very legitimate, on both sides. And Sri Krishna does not tell him that the choice is easy. He tells him that dharma sometimes requires the courage to act against the grain of sentiment and to make the decision that serves the larger good, even if it costs you socially. Now, right here in our soil, the Prime Minister is navigating a version of that battlefield. On one side, you have CARICOM solidarity, which is one of our identities. On the other side, you have the complex geometry of Venezuela right next door and the energy opportunities that a partnership with them can provide us. And of course, you have the United States, the dominant global power, our largest trading partner, who we also rely on for correspondent banking relations, because no matter how much foreign exchange you have, you need the United States financial system to be able to make payments all over the world for their correspondent banking services. And of course, for assistance with our national security. A neighbor that we simply cannot ignore, and a power that we cannot afford to alienate. None of these claims are false. None of them can be dismissed. And no position, however, will leave everyone satisfied. But here's the thing. Threading through all of it are the economic realities of 1.4 million Trinidadians and Tobagonians who need energy revenues, who need foreign exchange, who need a well-functioning economy. Now, Chanakya was very clear about this. The king's only mandate is the welfare of his people, not his neighbors, not his allies, not the regional trading bloc, his people. Now, our Prime Minister, our politicians, our leaders sit in Parliament in Port of Spain, not Georgetown, not Kingston, not Bridgetown. The Prime Minister answers to her people first, like Prime Ministers before and like Prime Ministers that will come after. And that mandate, the mandate to her people, is the one alone that must guide the calculus. And that is not callousness. That is Raj Dharma, the willingness to do what the moment demands, even when the moment might be uncomfortable. Now, none of this, Raj Dharma, not diversification, not strategic alliances, means anything at all without having the capacity to execute. And execution requires something our nation, and many of us here in this very room, unfortunately, continue to struggle with on a daily basis. And it's natural. We're only human at the end of the day. Focus. There's a famous moment in the Mahabharata where Guru Drona sets up a wooden bird in a tree, and he asks his students one by one, what do you see? He was teaching them archery. Now, one steps forward, points his bow and arrow up in the air. What do you see? Well, I see the branches, I see the sky, I see clouds. Okay, step back. Another says, Gurudev, I see the bird on the branch, I see some leaves. Okay, step back. Then he calls on Arjun. Arjun, what do you see? Arjun steps forward and says, Gurudev, I see only the eye of the bird. Okay, what else do you see? Nothing. I just see the eye of the bird. Okay, Arjun, shoot. And of course, the arrow flies true and hits its target. Now that is one of the most powerful performance management lessons ever told. And unfortunately, many of us are not actually living it in the way that we should. For decades, we have budget speeches in the past that was full of quivers, that was a quiver full of arrows and a chest full of confidence. Campaign promises in the past as well, promises made in Parliament. But somewhere between the podium and the policy, they looked at the tree, and half of the arrows never flew. Prior leaders, prior governments set plans that were never implemented for decades. We know all of this, but so let's move on now. Because the same problem lives in our private sector, in our boardrooms. How many businesses set bold targets in January, but by June, July, they have to quietly revise them downwards? How many strategic plans live in beautiful binders and shelves collecting dust, and then you have to dust it off at the end of the year, embarrassed that the company didn't meet their targets? Arjun didn't need a committee to convene a committee to study the bird. And then at the household level, the family that committed to clearing the credit card debt by December, is it clearing? Or has the new Carnival Fete, the new iPhone, the online sale, has life sufficiently provided a convincing view of the tree to justify never releasing the arrow? And each one of us here, personally, what are the goals that we set, the version of ourselves that we say quietly, I am going to become that version? Are you becoming it? Or have you found your very own reasonable, your very own elaborately explained tree to stare at? The tree is always going to be there. Make no doubt about it. The obstacles are always going to be real, and Arjun knew all of it. But he simply decided that none of these obstacles mattered. None of them mattered more than his target. That is not talent. That is not privilege. That is focus. Sustained, disciplined, daily, uncomfortable, honest focus on achieving what you said you were going to do. The arrow always finds the eye, but only if you stop looking at the tree. But vision and focus are only meaningful if a nation can resource itself. And that brings us to a subject matter that many prefer to avoid. Now, in our tradition, when sacred work is done, you offer dakshina. You offer it willingly, gratefully, not because an enforcement officer, not because the pundit is sending an enforcement officer at your door to collect his dakshina, but because something of value was received and the offering honors that exchange. Now, in many ways, that is the spiritual architecture of taxation. Not coercion, not extraction, it's a sacred compact. The citizen gives a portion of what they earn, and the state in turn is supposed to deliver education, healthcare, infrastructure, the conditions in which a good quality of life can be built. You give your dakshina, you receive the blessing. Simple, honorable, and mutual. Now, Chanakya understood this completely. He wrote that taxation is not the king's right. It is the king's responsibility, however, to collect a fair amount of taxes and use it responsibly, use what was collected wisely, transparently, and entirely in the service of those who gave it. The moment the king starts spending the people's offering on his own comfort and his own allies' comfort, that is when dakshina becomes theft. That is when the offering becomes theft. But the compact is also needs to be looked at from the other side. We have elaborate corporate structures that somehow always produce a loss for tax purposes while the owners are driving a brand new vehicle every year. The offshore arrangements, the creative accounting that transforms profits into paperwork. These people also benefit from the roads, the ports, the educated workforce, the healthcare system that is all funded by somebody else's dakshina, while their own contribution to the temple is suspiciously and mysteriously minimal every year. And you know the bitter irony about this? the daily paid worker, the monthly paid worker, they can't escape because they don't have any offshore account or offshore structure. They don't have a clever accountant. Their deduction is taken before they even see their salary, before they even see the money. They pay their full share every fortnight or every night without negotiation. And then they go to a public hospital and have to wait 10 hours to see a doctor. And then drive home afterwards in a road that's under repair for the last 10 to 15 years. That is not a tax system. That is a punishment for being honest. So the reform we need is twofold. First, we collect what is actually owed from every corner of the economy. Because a burden that is genuinely and equally shared is a burden that is genuinely lightened. And second, we deliver the blessing. Actually deliver it. Treat the tax dollar the way the pundit is supposed to be treating the deductioner, with reverence, accountability. Because that offering that was made is something real. It costs people hours of work, sweat of enterprise, sacrifice of family time. It has to be returned to them in the form of a nation that actually works. Tax evasion is a sin of commission. You owed and you didn't give. A state that collects faithfully and delivers poorly is a sin of omission. The offering was indeed made, but the blessing was withheld. And both are adharmic. So we come to the end. And what ties all of this together, the duty, diversification, the alliances, the focus, the sacred compact of taxation, is a simple ancient question about character. Chanakya was not the most powerful man in the room. He was the man that was thrown out of the room. What separated him, however, was not genius alone. It was his absolute daily refusal to know the right thing and do otherwise. But there's another figure in our tradition who knew exactly what the right thing was. Duryodhan from the Mahabharata. He wasn't an ignorant fellow. He stood before Sri Krishna himself, before the full weight of Dharma, and he said something very haunting. He said he knew what the right thing was, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. He also said he knew what was wrong, but he couldn't bring himself to stop. That is not just ancient scripture. That is the official who knows that foreign exchange is supposed to float a productive enterprise and allocates it instead to the well-connected anyway. That is the business enjoying state amenities while dodging taxes year after year. That is each of us in our private moments choosing the uncomfortable wrong over the difficult right. Choosing the comfortable wrong over the difficult right. Duryodhan syndrome. We all know it. Many of us, unfortunately, at all levels in society, live it. So the question tonight in this ashram is simple. Chanakya or Duryodhan? Do we become the man who acted on what he knew was right, or the man who knew what was right and couldn't act? In many ways, Trinidad and Tobago has been Duryodhan long enough. Now it is time to untie our shiksha. It is time to untie our knot and do the right thing. Thank you very much. Sitaram.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arjun, for a very powerful, enlightening speech. In appreciation, Swamiji would like to offer a shawl and some books, as well as a flower, in appreciation for all the effort that you've put into this talk. Clearly, a large amount of research has gone into this talk, so thank you very much. Thank you once again. There are several organizations represented here tonight, and they include the Kali Yatra Festival, the Vedic Mission Trinidad and Tobago, the Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh, Chinmaya Mission, Yoga Vidya Peetham, Ramakrishna Sharada Peetham, Sewa Titi, Karatal Sri Krishna Mandir, Todd Street Krishna Mandir, Raj Yoga Center, Satya Sai Global Council, Kabir Pant Association, Dattatreya Yoga Center, ISKCON, and the Indian High Commission. Thank you all for being part of this event tonight. We now come to our featured speaker, the Honorable Mr. Jagdev Singh.
He's the current Speaker of the House of Representatives, which is clearly no easy job, having been elected in May 2023 at the start of the 13th Republican Parliament. He's an attorney at law, called to the bar in 1989, and has served as head of chambers and lead counsel at Fortis Chambers. Mr. Singh has years of experience and success in high-profile appellate cases. He has also conducted civil litigation as counsel in the judicial system. His practice has led to several advancements in several areas, such as customs law, construction law, and commercial law. His legal practice has diversified over the years, where he has appeared before the Tax Appeal Board, Industrial Court and Family Court, tribunals, Public Service Appeal Board, employment tribunals, disciplinary tribunals, Equal Opportunity Commission, as well as the Equal Opportunity Tribunal, Environmental Commission, and mediation centers. He was a member of the commission that investigated the Jamaat al-Muslimin coup attempt and is currently leading the investigation on the pharmaceutical practice in Trinidad and Tobago. And I see my friend Anissa is smiling bitterly there. It is a personal privilege to introduce a man who has attained so much and has remained so humble, except for the commission, and who manages the House of Representatives with calm and poise, despite a sometimes rambunctious confusion. He will speak to us on the conscience of democracy. Please welcome the Honorable Speaker of the House. And before we start, Swamiji would like to present a mala of appreciation to the Speaker. Okay, and also, while we invite Honorable Minister, Swamiji also wants to present garlands to Swami Prakashananda and His Grace Archbishop Jason Gordon. Okay, so thank you for that, and again, the Speaker of the House.
Distinguished guests, all of you, good evening. Can I crave your indulgence, first of all, to dispense with the long list of protocol and to rely on the previous protocol established? I'd be very grateful. It would save us all a lot of time. Let me first say that it is both a profound honor and indeed an even more profound privilege to stand before this eminent and distinguished group and gathering of people assembled here tonight. I first wish to extend my sincerest gratitude to the Brahma Vidya Peetham International for their generous and kind invitation for me to speak at this important gathering and this absolutely important topic tonight. Before I start, I wish also to recognize the invaluable contributions of Dr. Dilip Dan, my very good friend and president of this esteemed organization, and Sadhvi Ananda Mai Giri, General Secretary, both of whose tireless dedication ensures that the mission of sharing the science of self, the profound knowledge of Brahma Vidya, remains alive, relevant, and impactful. The conscience of democracy, with the subheadings ethics, good governance, and national welfare, is a thorny topic. It is not an easy topic to navigate one's way through, because democracy is not a stated principle of governance by the people, for the people, and of the people. if you really examine what it means in the modern context, it means so much more than simply electing your leaders, showing up to vote, and expecting something in return. It is a far more diverse, complex, and indeed, I can say, a very precarious route to navigate. But how do we begin to start to talk and to think about the conscience in democracy? And I think we must recognize, first of all, the space we are in. Standing here in this ashram, in this sacred space, it all brings us back, walking on the earth with our bare feet, to that sense of feeling grounded. And that is, in essence, is the genesis of a fair democracy, a reasonable expectation of a reasonable input into the development of a society. But we'll get to that in the future as we go along. In a multi-ethnic society such as ours, the conscience of democracy and its core values and what those core values and notions mean must resonate across every corner of our nation. Whether God is named or unnamed, it has its genesis, that little kernel of hope, that little morsel of truth starts with the ethical citizen. It starts with the citizen who is willing to sacrifice. It starts with the citizen who is willing not simply to sit on his couch at home and expect that when a government changes, everything changes with it. Democracy, at the end of the day, and its notions are structural. It carries with it a superstructure. It is how you participate in building this superstructure that you derive the best benefits from a democratic system. But within that superstructure, holding that superstructure together, are important core notions that, if applied properly, results in a conscionable democratic system. It results in a system where those in power are held accountable, that the citizenry is informed, that the citizenry, most importantly, participates. No democracy can survive. No democracy can flourish. No democracy can fly its flag high above the mountain if we do not have a participative citizenry. So it starts with you. The conscience of the democracy is not some ephemeral notion that exists in the air. It starts within the bosom of every citizen. And that is the kernel of hope I was referring to. That which starts it all. You know, sometimes they say it's the fire starter. It's what starts the fire in our collective bellies. And it is even more important that we recognize the need for a democracy of conscience to be a participative democracy. Because in a country marked by religious diversity, differing opinions and philosophies, we must recognize that shared values can transcend rigid doctrine. And it is both the beauty and the burden of a democracy that even fools have the right to talk foolishness. And that's how I describe it. It is both the beauty and the burden. And it is important that you allow fools to talk foolishness. Because when you start muzzling fools, then you start muzzling wise people, and it never stops. Never forget that one of the most vicious and pernicious periods of history started with the breaking of shop windows in Nazi Germany. It's called Kristallnacht. And that's a simple act of that then led to a murderous rampage that sought to silence any voice of dissent. So that's why I say it is both the beauty and the burden of democracy, that fools have a right to talk foolishness. The majority also have the burden and the duty to sift through the foolishness, not to be distracted by the noise. Because as I often tell my juniors when we're preparing a case, who get distracted by noise and irrelevancy, that every case has noise. It is either the good noise, the noise that is ambivalent, the noise that cannot harm you so much. But what you pay attention to in any democracy, when fools talk foolishness, it is the harmful noise. That which seeks to puncture the heart of the conscience which lies in a democracy, the core notions of it. How do we recognize the conscience of democracy? And we have to understand that there are concepts which are bandied about and thrown about, and people talk about government for the people, by the people, of the people, separation of powers. What exactly is this separation of powers? It is a recognition of a principle that the state, the democratic state, is comprised of three separate branches of government, each performing an individual check and balance on the other. Now, there are two forms of it. There's a purist form, where the legislature, in the parliament in which I preside, sometimes troublesome, having to out fires and deal with troublesome people, that is entirely staffed by different people. Then there's the executive branch, which are the policy makers, which is staffed entirely by different people. Then there's the judiciary, which is totally independent from everyone. But we in Trinidad have a hybrid form of the separation of powers, which makes it even more particularly important when I get to the core notions of what is the conscience of a democracy, and why ethics, good governance, and national welfare results when we pay adherence to and fealty to those core notions. It is a functional separation of powers, because the legislators are almost entirely comprised of the policy makers. So both the legislature and the executive branch are merged into one in terms of people. They perform separate and distinct functions. The vanguard of a conscionable democracy is the rule of law. And the rule of law can only be applied and upheld when you have an independent judiciary, a fearless and independent judiciary. Thankfully, Trinidad and Tobago has a long history of quality judges. We have the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, which in many instances have held the policymakers to account. But what is this notion of the rule of law that is often bandied about and no one speaks as to the specifics of it? The rule of law is democracy's backbone. It is that those several planks, several notions which form themselves into the supportive planks of the superstructure of a democratic institution or a democratic country. It is that structure which holds a nation upright. It represents aspirational but practical values: equality before the law. No person, no institution, or no government stands above the law. The mighty and the meek must answer to the same set of rules and standards. And as I often say, in a courtroom, the witness box is the great equalizer. When you are in that witness box and you take that oath and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you can be the king, you can be a Maharaja, you can be the prime minister, you can be the president, you can be whatever. You can be a laborer on the street. But that witness box is the great equalizer. Everyone is subject to the law. Everyone is open to cross-examination. Everyone is open to having their evidence tested. And everyone is entitled to have an independent judge assess his evidence and his case. So it is the great equalizer. Accountability and transparency for those who exercise power are answerable in the courts, not necessarily so in Parliament. There is this notion of parliamentary accountability, but that in itself is a limited type of accountability. It provides some form of accountability, but the complex rules, the time set aside, doesn't really permit investigation or interrogation the way the courts do. And two of the speakers have referred to this ongoing inquiry. I wish not to say anything, and you will forgive me for it. Suffice it to say that this inquiry, I think, is very important. It touches two of the most vulnerable sectors of society. The two sectors of society that access pharmaceuticals more than anyone else: the aged and the infirm. And it is through that parliamentary accountability that we are also trying to uphold one of the core notions of a democratic society, and that is accountability. So, if I could summarize that, the separation of powers is that the legislature makes the law, the executive implements it, and the judiciary interprets it and applies it. But the rule of law is not simply a one line. It is comprised of several notions. It is an expression of a collective societal consciousness in and of itself. The values which the judges impart in exercising their supervisory jurisdiction over executive action has, as part of it, that national collective consciousness. It's an expression of that national collective consciousness. It supports oversight of ethics. It supports oversight and adherence to statutory duties. And it is democracy's way of allowing a society to self-govern itself. Because when a public official is given statutory power to exercise, or public duty to exercise, that public official cannot exercise that power in a whimsical or irrational manner. That is what the courts are there for. Many people feel in societies such as ours, sorry, I beg your pardon, that when a public official makes a decision, that decision is difficult to challenge. Well, yes, in some instances it is. But in most instances, if you feel that you've been wronged by a public official, to take up on Valmiki's theme of Valmiki's speech, you have both a right and indeed a duty to challenge that public official. And the courts provide for that perfect recourse to do so. Because a decision is not of a public official. It's not a decision where the public officer feels he has a right to make the decision and he could make whatever decision he wishes. That decision is circumscribed by conditions laid down in law very often. Now, as I've taken pains to explain sometime to some of the parliamentarians, power is either open-textured or narrowly circumscribed. But when you exercise power, you must exercise power lawfully, you must exercise power rationally, and you must exercise power proportionately. You know the old adage, you don't use a hammer to kill a fly? That is the language of the common person expressing what is indeed a very complex juridical concept, and that of proportionality. That any public officer exercising power must do so in a fair, lawful, rational, and proportionate manner. In other words, the punishment must fit the crime. To put it as simply as that. But further, if the rule of law is the heart which serves democracy, then the arteries which lead to it, the main artery is the rule of law. Okay? Judicial oversight is another. An independent and free judiciary will always express the collective conscience of a nation. But fairness, decisions must be made fairly. You must be given a right to be heard. If a decision is going to go against you, you must be told why the public officer is deciding, making this decision against you. Then, before important decisions are taken which affect your lives, socially and economically, culturally, many, it runs the full gamut. There's the process of consultation. The people must be consulted, and it must be meaningful consultation. Now, all these are concepts which have been developed over time. It starts off, as I said, the rule of law was his first kernel of truth, that first morsel of truth, that first morsel of hope. But societies evolve. Democracies, in and of themselves, evolve. Societal notions evolve. Values evolve. What we hold dear today may not be held dear 40 years from now. And that is the beauty of an evolving democracy. Because the collective consciousness of a nation develops. And democracy, as I like to say, is a Protean concept, after the Greek god Proteus, who was able to take on any form. So, it is Protean in nature. It is able to take on any form. And it changes, it evolves. The duty of the citizenry is vigilance. Because you can't treat democracy, which it has at its heart a conscience, as that beautiful item that you put in a glass case and you admire it from afar. As I've said, it is a living, organic being that requires nurturing. As Valmiki says, it requires watering. It requires nurturing. And you know there's this concept that if you talk to plants, they grow quicker. Yes. It takes the citizenry to talk to democracy. But how do we speak to our democracy? We speak to our democracy through voting, through informed voting, not distracted by irrelevant noise, but through informed voting. Then, the conscience of a democracy is also expressed in what I like to refer to as the democratization of information. To the older folks amongst us here, you would recall the days when all files in the public service were hidden from public view. No more. No more. In 1995, a very important piece of legislation was passed called the Freedom of Information Act. That one single piece of legislation reflected what lies at the heart of a democratic state. The right of the citizenry to be informed and to inform itself. And it takes away the ability of the executive to hide behind this opaque screen of non-disclosure and to prevent the citizen from finding out exactly what is happening. Now, granted, not everything can be disclosed. This is not the time or place for it, but there are overwhelming reasons why some matters should stay out of the public domain, and there are very good reasons for that. Sorry again. But that in itself, to show you how a conscionable democracy works, where a public interest exemption is sought, even the courts have the right to determine whether it is a valid assertion of a public interest exemption. So it comes back and dovetails into my point that the conscience of democracy has at its pillar the rule of law, citizenry participation, and the rule of law. So, I have exhorted you, this crowd here, to be participative. But how do we get there? And strange enough, in an age of unprecedented technological connection, we as human beings are paradoxically even more isolated than before. Human interaction is being replaced by artificial voices. Communities are being reduced to data banks, and progress in many ways can lead to dehumanization. The day that happens, dehumanization is the greatest threat to a conscionable democracy. But a true collective consciousness does not erase individuality. It preserves it while connecting us all. It is through this collective consciousness that democratic integrity is sustained. It requires us to truly see each other as our brothers and sisters keeper. From that recognition, everything else flows. Good ethics, good governance, and ultimately, just laws. But the question is, where do you start that journey? That journey must begin within all of us. Spiritual traditions teach us the importance of inner discipline, the capacity to regulate thought, emotion, and desire. The Upanishads offers the metaphor of the body as a chariot guided by the mind, illustrating the importance of control and awareness. Centuries later, in a naked act of plagiarism, Plato echoed this idea, emphasizing rational balance over impulsive reaction. Ethical action, therefore, begins with a well-ordered individual. In Hindu philosophy, this is the overcoming of dualities, the ability to see oneself in others. From this interior state of clarity emerges right action, deliberate, principled, and just. An ethical leader, and I mean leaders across the society, is first an ethical citizen. Citizenship is not merely about rights or documentation. It is about recognizing oneself as an indispensable part of a larger socio-political, economic ecosystem, from family to community to nation, indeed to humanity itself. If nationhood is in part an idea, then it is ours to shape. Are our laws and institutions reflective of who we are today? Or do they still carry the weight of colonial structures and external pressures? And this is not the time or place, but we get to one of my pet peeves. Colonial laws which survived 60 years after independence under that save law principle. But that might be a topic for another night. I hope I have not bored you in talking about what many may regard as abstract principles. But these principles are not abstract principles. They are lived realities. You live with them every day of your lives. You just simply sometimes don't recognize that you are actually living these principles. As citizens, to achieve a democracy which is conscionable and functioning, we must uphold our institutions. Because when institutions fail, democracy itself is a danger of failing. The question is, how do we bridge that gap? First, legislators and policymakers must be accommodating and open to people. The process of implementing laws and passing laws should be accompanied by wide public consultation. The public has a right to know. The public has a right to have laws explained and to engage in the public exchange and spirited debate that takes place. And that's why it is very important that all of you here look at the Parliament channel. Your representatives have been elected to debate these matters on your behalf. No matter how badly they behave at times, I can assure you, it's always intermittent. The bad behavior is never sustained. And as I've said before, democracy is not a spectator sport. Civic education is essential. People must take the time to understand their rights. They must know their institutions and must understand the immense power which they wield over the executive, the legislators, and the institutions. At the heart of all of this is one simple truth. Ethical governance and conscionable governance builds legitimacy. A law may be validly passed, but if it does not have the trust of the people, trust me, it will be resisted and it will fall away sometime in the future. So, as I end, I just want to tell you this. The conscience of democracy is not written in law books alone. It is expressed through your hearts, your minds, and your actions, all of you. Not simply to those of us, those of my colleagues who sit in the parliament and I who preside over the parliament. That's not where democracy resides. Democracy, as I've said before, resides in the bosom of all of us. A democratic state which has its heart conscionable conduct is not motivated by leaders alone. It's not pushed along by leaders alone, but rather in the collective conscience of its citizenry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker of the House. The theme seems a one that is just keeps repeating itself. Conscience starts with all of us. So thank you all for appreciating the talk that he is giving us here. I know it's getting a little bit late, but we do have a couple more items before we finish. But before we get on to that, we'd like to invite another short musical interlude because we are running a little bit on time. And I just want to say a couple words on Narendra. He studied, that's the brother of Shivanan, studied music at the Bharatiya Vidya Sansthan under Professor Adesh, tutored in Basuri by Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasya and Sri Rajesh of Bangalore. He's an excellent saxophonist, but his day job is actually computer science with the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs. So, while we wait for our speaker to leave the stage, not that we want him to leave, we do want to recognize some other people in the audience, the Ray and Vidya Rambillas of Virginia. We want to recognize Real TV, who's doing a live broadcast and will also rerun this. Lal Boys, videography and photography, and I think this is on YouTube as well, live. Krishna Sound Systems, Gopal Food Hut Catering Services, Sukus Limited, Nanfab Contractors, Construction and Cleanup, Fix-It Care, and Superior Hardware. So I think we can start the music.
You are viewing Real TV's live broadcast of Brahma Vidya Peetham International's The Conscience of Democracy, Ethics, Good Governance, and National Welfare. Brought to you with the kind compliments of the Fix-It Center and Sukus Limited.
For dry goods, bar supplies, and all your favorite beverages, visit Sukus Limited, located at number 70 Queen Street, Marabella. We supply local groceries, mini-marts, bars, lounges, caterers, home entertainers, and everyone in between.
Your trusted importer, distributor, and retailer.
Call us today at 298-9989 or email sales@sukus.com.
2050 install, yes, the Adina 12K Flex series are back in stock and these are going fast. Here's a look at some of our actual installations so you can see the finishings for yourself. Tidy chunking, level mounts, and clean workmanship every time. Fast cooling, energy efficient, quiet, durable, and of course, clean and professional installation every time. We have limited stock and the last shipment sold out in days. This is the Fix-It Center's most requested AC units. It's perfect for bedrooms, offices, and small living spaces. Get your unit installed for 2350 right here at the Fix-It Center. You can visit us at Lipole 109 Monroe Cunupia or give us a call at 434-1563. $99.95 for this circular saw. This is the total 1400 watts, 7¼ inch circular saw. Proper power, 1400 watts pushing 4800 RPM. So when you're cutting, it's actually cutting. Clean cuts through board, framing and ply, no struggle. Adjustable cutting depth and bevel cuts up to 45 degrees for angle work. It comes with a 24 teeth circular saw blade and an extra pair of carbon brushes, so you are ready to go. And once again, it's only $599.95. So stop fighting with your tools. Upgrade to the 1400 watts now. Available now at the Fixes Center. You can visit us at Lipole 109 Monroe Cunupia or give us a call at 434-1563. 2050 install, yes, the Adina 12K Flex series are back in stock and these are going fast. Here's a look at some of our actual installations so you can see the finishings for yourself. Tidy chunking, level mounts and clean workmanship every time. Fast cooling, energy efficient, quiet, durable, and of course, clean and professional installation every time. We have limited stock and the last shipment sold out in days. This is the Fixer Center's most requested AC units. It's perfect for bedrooms, offices, and small living spaces. Get your unit installed for $23.50 right here at the Fixer Center. You can visit us at Lipole 109 Monroe Cunupia or give us a call at 434-1563.
For dry goods, bar supplies, and all your favorite beverages, visit Suku's Limited, located at number 70 Queen Street, Marabella. We supply local groceries, mini-marts, bars, lounges, caterers, home entertainers, and everyone in between.
Your trusted importer, distributor, and retailer.
Call us today at 298-9989 or email sales@sukus.com.
$599.95 for this circular saw. This is the total 1400 watts, 7¼ inch circular saw. Proper power, 1400 watts pushing 4800 RPM. So when you're cutting, it's actually cutting. Clean cuts through board, framing and ply, no struggle. Adjustable cutting depth and bevel cuts up to 45 degrees for angle work. It comes with a 24 teeth circular saw blade and an extra pair of carbon brushes, so you are ready to go. And once again, it's only $599.95. So stop fighting with your tools. Upgrade to the 1400 watts now. Available now at the Fixes Center. You can visit us at Lipole 109 Monroe Cunupia or give us a call at 434-1563.
Thank you very much, Terensha, and you see what class is. So we have our final two.
Doctor, 1 minute I want to take. Sorry. Hello. Really, today, are you always confused about Trinidad audience? Ki this country people like only music, joke, then they sitting in katha. In whole country I'm speaking, but where music and joke, then people sitting. But two speakers so serious speaking, and our speaker of the, he is speaking, speaker of the parliament, everybody is so silently listening. Yeah, this is my first time experience. Ananda, thank you, these people. Thank you. Yeah. So now, till.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. So just like Swamiji, introducing His Grace, the Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon is a tough thing to do. He's such an accomplished gentleman. And if I were to go through all of his accolades, I don't think he would want that because we will spend a little over quite a few minutes. So I'm going to ask His Grace to come to the podium and give us blessings and some remarks as well on the conference.
Like the previous speaker, I will ask your indulgence for not going through the list of protocol. Thank you for setting that. It's a blessing for me to be here to hear a familiar discourse from another tradition. It's really has sparked my mind and my imagination. And what we have experienced here today really should be in every classroom in our country. Really. And I'll return to that thought at the end. There are three thoughts I wanted to bring. First, Plato said in his Republic that democracy is the least trustworthy form of governance. It will always go to an oligarchy. Well, I think we could look and see that he is not far wrong. But it only goes to an oligarchy if there is no spiritual depth in the citizenry. If the citizen has spiritual depth, then that does not happen. My second thought, V.S. Naipaul. I know we love to love him and hate him at the same time. He had this beautiful little book, Suffrage of Elvira. I don't know if you ever read it. He talks, Elvira is this little place in the Naparimas in the south, and he talks about the first time democracy comes to Elvira, suffrage, voting. And he talks about all the chaos, all of the missed opportunities, the corruption, the bribing, the naked influencing. He talks about all of that. And then he says, and that is how suffrage came to Elvira. Well, Trinidad and Tobago is Elvira. And what he's saying in the text is not just a parody, but it's also a reality. England took 1,000 years to write the Magna Carta and then handed us democracy and expects us, without struggling with it, without thinking about it, without having to develop it, expects us to live it immediately. 60-something years on, I think we're a little bit better than we were 60-something years ago, but we are a young nation, and we need to do other things to move democracy to the next place. The third thought I want to share with you came from a calypso last year from Freetown Collective, Take Me Home. And the lines in the calypso is saying, I will cross any mountain to find it. I will go through any fire or sea. And talking about a love for Trinidad and Tobago. And in the heart of the song, the writers say, marry me to the heart of Port of Spain. So if I leave, I'm bound to come again. I want to focus on that for a moment. Because I think in the tumultuous relationship between citizen and nation, that's really the challenge that we are facing. You know, in Trinidad, we have many forms of relationship. You know, we have friending, where you come and you go. You have visiting, where you visit and you're more permanent. You have living, and then you have marriage. And I think the citizens of our country have not determined what relationship we want with the nation. A marriage, as many of you will know, better or worse, is not easy. But at the end of the day, that commitment is resilient. And we become whatever we are committed to. If you're committed to your faith, you become a holy person. You're committed to your marriage, you become a person who lives conscience and integrity. We become what we're committed to. And I believe, as I've heard wonderful, wonderful expositions on democracy, and the two speakers really thank you. Really amazing insights into democracy. And to pick up on both, it is really what does the citizen want with this nation? And I don't think we have been willing to be married as yet. I don't think so. I think many citizens still fretting because they're still trying to get for themselves what they want for themselves with no responsibility back to the nation itself. Marry me to the heart of Port of Spain. So if I leave, I bound to come again. Until the citizen understands the relationship that is required for a flourishing democracy, we will continue as Naipaul has seen what we have seen. In the 1800s, Froude, the British professor of Oxford professor of history, said, there are no people here in the true sense of the word. In the 2015, 16, 18, our citizens were saying Trinidad is not a real place. I think this is as real as it gets. And I believe that until we as citizens recognize that this place is ours, and that the relationship is a marriage relationship, a covenantal relationship, that we are here, and because of that, we will do the work that is required and take the responsibility that is required for the transformation that is required for this place to be a beautiful place. That is really where democracy flourishes. We could have the laws, the customs, the structures, but if the citizen's heart is not committed, then those are going to be corrupted in every which way we Trinidad and Tobagonians know extremely well how to do it. So as we come to this moment, I want to thank Swami Ji for inviting me here and for this opportunity to listen and participate in such great reflections on democracy. And I want to also leave with you this thought that has been kind of the golden thread through all that we've heard today. What is your relationship with this nation? Are we here for what we can get out of it? Or are we here to build it up and to take democracy to the next step? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Grace. Swamiji will present a bouquet and a shawl. Thank you for taking the time to spend with us this evening. I know it's a little bit late, but we really do appreciate it. Sure. All right. Thank you again. So I think Swamiji would also like to present Valmiki some of his books, his recent books. So while he's on stage, we'll take this opportunity to, for Swamiji to present those books as well. We have a slight change. We have next is Sadhvi Anandamai Giri, who is the Secretary of Brahma Vidya Peetham, who will give the vote of thanks and closing remarks. And then to follow that, we'll have Swami Prakashananda to come and give some remarks, as well as the closing prayer for the event. So just to give you a little bit on who Sadhvi Anandamai Giri is, she has been under the guidance of Swamiji since age 3. She's received training with the Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh and is currently doing her PhD in philosophy, as well as post-colonialism studies with the Hindu University of America. She's created history in Trinidad and Tobago in 2016 as the first daughter of this nation to receive sannyas by Swami Advaishananda Giriji. She's effective public speaker, as you will see, charismatic personality, expounds on Vedic science and technology, and world peace. She's a gifted orator of the Sri Ramacharita, the Bhagavad Gita, and many other holy scriptures. She's a very proud Trinidadian, Your Grace, and whose patriotism extends into her life's mission and vision. Please welcome Sadvi to bring closing remarks and vote of thanks.
My humble pranam to our Revered Gurudev, Swami Brahma Swarupanandaji, the Peethadish of Brahma Vidya Peetham International. Swami Prakashanandaji, the Pontiff of the Chinmaya Mission, Trinidad and Tobago. His Grace, Reverend Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon. Our Honorable Speaker of the House, the Honorable Jagdev Singh, Dr. Valmiki Arjun, Professor Dilip Dan, all distinguished members of government, organizations, divine souls present here this evening. My namaskar and my sitaram, and a pleasant good evening to each and every one of you. As we come to the close of this program, the conscience of democracy, ethics, good governance, and national welfare today reminds us of a simple yet powerful truth. And as we have heard all our speakers, democracy is not sustained by systems alone, but it is sustained by consciousness. Individual consciousness, as Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, blending into the sum total, creating that collective consciousness for the transformation of our nation. So governance and spirituality, our dear Speaker of the House, we go hand in hand. We are not isolated from each other, but rather we must work together to create enlightened citizenship. The integration of both are necessary, and it is with this vision in mind that our Revered Gurudev, Swami Brahma Swarupananda, has organized such a program on this theme, the conscience of democracy. And our speaker said something just now. Every thought that we hold, every action that we take, every word or value that we live by adds to the collective consciousness of the nation. And these same words are embedded, Panditji, Sankata se hanu mana churave, Sankata se hanu mana churave, mana krama vachana dhyana jolave, o sab pararama. I think all they saying now too quiet. So all they can sing with me, if all they know it, all they come now, man. I can change the tune, now. Let me get them, perform. No, okay? Saba pararama. Tinake kaja. O sankata hanu manakrama vachana saba pararama tinake kaja. Our thoughts, our actions, our words. And the Sri Hanuman Chalisa says, Sabapararama tapasviraja, the ideal king who provided the blueprint of good governance, of an ideal society, Lord Rama himself, that exceptional leader, that state authority, what did he do? The spiritual values. He inculcated it into his kingdom. He practiced discipline, restraint, austerity, and self-control. And in that kingdom, none of the citizens were unhappy. The society was disease-free. In fact, when he ruled, there was no death during that period. Tasaba Padarama Come we singing for the Honorable Prime Minister now, eh? Sabapadarama Otin ke kaja Shri Ram Jai Ram O Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram right leadership with Hanumanji. Capable execution equals successful governance. This program, with Sri Swamiji's vision, inculcates our great Vedic values of Second Secretary Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family. Krinvantu Vishwam Aryam. Let us ennoble the world through our lives. And Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha. May all beings be in happiness. May all beings be in peace. It is in this spirit that the Brahma Vidya Peetham International has organized this program today. Brahma, the supreme divinity, the supreme being. Vidya, the highest form of knowledge. And Peetham, the seat or the foundation that creates a platform of unity to dispense the highest form of knowledge for the supreme realization of divinity. That is the meaning of Brahma Vidya Peetham. Clear? His Grace Swamiji's vision is indeed a classroom, for the Brahma Vidya Peetham International is a multiversity, having multifaceted activities, and it is Swamiji's vision that on this sacred foundation, all people from all walks of life could come together to receive, to share, to grow, to meet, to sit, to talk, and to walk together in the knowledge of the highest supreme divinity. This is Swamiji's vision, that the Brahma Vidya Peetham International, in the constituency of Tabakit, in the heart of Trinidad and Tobago, will become a place of pilgrimage. Give them a round of applause. We are not going to India, we are not going to Mecca, we are not going to Africa. We are creating the pilgrimage right here, right now, where each and every one of you are seated. Are we good? Yes. Why? To preserve, to propagate, to protect our eternal values in a fastly and rapidly changing society. Love, compassion. There should be no other. Everyone should be my brother. They should be my sister. The downtrodden, the weaker section of society, the hungry person, we should all meet their needs. We all share in this national ecosystem. Its sustainability, its harmony, its future depend on each and every one of us. The Brahma Vidya Peetham International has many programs: religious, spiritual, educational, social, yoga, meditation, outreach, humanitarian services, international and local conferences. The supermarket is full. We just need your support, we need your buy-in. And not only your support, all our members of government who are here today, this organization is only 10 years old, believe it or not. 10 years ago, if you would have come here, there was dirt under your feet and never a shed above your head. And in 10 years, this is where we have arrived. We support the state, but we are asking the state also to support us. Let us hold hands together and go forward for the common good, not necessarily financially. Send the people, organize the programs together. Let's think together, talk together, and let's make this rainbow nation of ours a beautiful and better place. And I urge each and every one of you here today, you must be proud. I am a Trinidadian. I am Trinbagonian. This is my country. Not because the neighbor is not doing it, I will not do it. Not because our politicians may not be doing it, I will not do it. Let us do it. The Brahma Vidya Peetham, I wish Minister Jolene John was here. We just patch all the potholes in the road coming down. Social outreach. Not because we alone have to drive on it, but you had to drive here to come on it. And Swamiji didn't want you to be potting holes. We have enough bricklands already. This is the work. Let us join hands together. And I want to say, finally, my deepest thanks, heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speakers, to all participants and partners, to representatives from every sector, the competent team of the Brahma Vidya Peetham International, and to each and every one of you present here today. Your presence has made this dialogue indeed meaningful, fulfilling, and helping Swamiji to take his mission, his passion, and his vision into a reality. So I want to thank each and every one of you for that. And I ask you, in the future, we have the Ayurveda Eco Park, which was inaugurated in last October. When the rainy season comes around, we'll be starting all the plants. Please volunteer your time, bring your plants, and let's start putting the plants in the park. And we'll have the first Ayurveda Eco Park in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So, as I end tonight, Your Grace, I am married to the beauty of Port of Spain, and I want to let you know I have come back again, Sadhviananda, patriotic citizen. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Sadhviji. I would like, before we get on to Swami Ji Prakashananda to give his final remarks and also closing prayer, we'd just like to invite to the stage Honorable Mr. Ernesto Kisa, Dr. Natalie Chaitan, Dr. Aryan Ali, and Mr. Amit Prakash Thakur, just to come and receive shawls and appreciation from Swamiji while we get organized to have Swamiji give his talk. So please, if you don't mind coming up, and we'll... No? No, Swamiji, you're doing something else. Yeah. Vidya. Vidya, come present, yeah. No, Swamiji will do it. Yeah. Swamiji will do it. Yeah. Yeah. But do you have him around? Yes. Yeah. Yes, I did announce Dr. Natalie Chaitan. All right, and next, Dr. Aina Ali, Deputy Speaker of the House. Mr. Ernesto Kisa, oh sorry, Mr. Amit Prakash Thakur. And then we'll also ask, once we finish with these, we'll ask Mr. Shivanand Maharaj and Narendra Maharaj to come and receive their tokens as well. Mr. Kisa, Ernesto Kisa, Minister in the Ministry of Energy. Yes, I just mentioned it. And also Swamiji Shivanand Maharaj and Narendra Maharaj to
First time I listen you. One time come again.
Thank you all for being here and spending time with us this evening. Valmiki, I think they want you on stage. They have some books that they promised to give you and didn't get it just now. And while Swamiji offers these books to Dr. Arjun, we'll ask, Swami Prakashanandaji is no stranger to us and to Trinidad and Tobago. He's well established at Trinidad Mission in Trinidad and Tobago. Interestingly, Swamiji studied politics. So I just learned that. But I wouldn't have guessed. But he studied political science first. And then he got the calling to study Sanskrit and Vedanta.
1 minute again, please.
Just, all right.
President. Yeah, you have listened our Archbishop. He promised with me. Yeah, I did promise. Sermon on the Mount, 10 Commandments. He told when he will be free, he's very busy, whole world moving. He will speak here, Sermon on the Mount, 10 Commandments. I want to say one thing. Sermon on the Mount, Doctor, that is the gist of the 12th chapter of the Gita. 20 verses in the Gita, that is in 10 Commandments. I am writing the book on this. So my dear Archbishop, so kind, he can go, Swamiji, I will come to speak on this subject. Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah. Okay, doctor.
Thank you. So I was telling the story of Swami Prakashanandaji, and then, interestingly, he did law. So nobody would have expected. We have a lawyer, we have a political scientist in the midst here. And then now we well know him as a Swami in Vedanta, and has established schools in Trinidad and very successful schools at that. So it's my privilege really to invite Swami Prakashananda to come and bring some remarks and then a closing prayer. Thank you.
Jai Shri Ram. There's been quite a lot that have been said tonight, and a lot of it was quite familiar to many of us. And just to add to, not to sound cliche, but to add to it, we say that every system, whether Swamiji outlined all the different types of systems, we have communism and socialism and capitalism and democracy, and we have, communist societies and whatever, all the list that we know, every system is as good as the individuals that make up the system. And where we all falter, and this is the spiritual point now, where we all falter is when we have gatherings like this, when we all come together and we talk about the system, we talk about democracy, and we talk about capitalism, and whatever we talk about, usually we talk with the premise that we are speaking about them and their behavior and what they do. But I want to tell you the sterling example of an exemplary character in the Ramcharitamanas is Hanumanji. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna is trying to rehabilitate a fallen Arjuna. And in both the cases, it is about one trying to exemplify or to emulate Hanumanji for all of us, and in Arjuna's case, trying to rehabilitate the person or the personality so that he will become exemplary, he will become a beacon for Sanatan Dharma, or for Dharma. And wherever we are, we have to think that either I am going to be, I am already like Hanumanji, or I am going to be like Arjuna and rehabilitate my personality and become the exemplary citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. So the ball is always in our court, and we have to remember, I am not in the business of rehabilitating anybody else in this world. We cannot rehabilitate anybody else in this world. We do not have access to the heart of anybody in this world. We can only access our own heart, and we can only rehabilitate our own self. And if you notice, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna does not teach philosophy to Arjuna. If you see his first teaching to Arjuna, or his first words to Arjuna, are words given to Arjuna to take a resolve, because Arjuna had resolved to walk away from the battlefield. So Bhagavan is trying to make Arjuna take a resolve to stay here and fight this battle. And that is not philosophy. That is a resolution. And so it is important and incumbent on every citizen of this nation to take a resolve that I am going to be the exemplary citizen that is required for the uplift of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not talking about somebody else. I'm talking about myself. All of us have to take that resolve. And that requires a simple thing, and that is, there's a word which Swamiji used in the beginning, which everybody have been using, Dr. Arjun used so many times, and this thing is called as dharma. That I am going to stick to dharma, I am going to stick to what is right, what is proper, what is good, and if I do that, I have thereby lifted my own nation, because I am a citizen of this nation. If I stick to dharma, I have thereby lifted my own nation. This is very, very important. I ask the children in our school, if you have choice, this is multiple choice. You have a choice to be educated, you have a choice to be rich, you have a choice to be religious, or you have a choice to be good. Which one you will choose? And all the children say in chorus, we'll choose to be good. Because, can you find an educated person who is not good? Well, you find many. Can you find a rich person who is not good? Can you find a religious person who is not good? I met many religious people in jail. I mean, I just went for a visit only. Religious people in jail. So you can find a religious person also who is not good. Can you find a good person who is not good? That is a contradiction in terms. So I have to take that result. And this is not philosophy. Philosophy, Bhagavan teaches to Arjuna later on. This is a resolve. And Dr. Arjun's talk resonated with me so much. This resolve is sometimes, in the political arena, it's called as political will. In a bigger scale. We need to have proper resolve individually. In so doing, means to adhere to dharma. In so doing, any system, it doesn't have to be democracy, any system, that system will function properly. The system is as good as the individuals that make up the system. All right, I want to leave you with these few words of teachings from Bhagavad Gita. See Bhagavan's strategy there. Arjunji was talking about strategy. and Swamiji wanted me to chant the closing mantra. This mantra is there in the Vedic tradition. I'm sure most of you will be knowing it. If we can all join hands, and those of you who know, please do join. I will chant Purnamada first. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Dyau Shantirantarikshagam Shanti Prithvi Shantirapa Shanti Roshadaya Shanti Vanaspataya Shanti Vishvedeva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shanti Reti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Syavara Ramachandra ki jai.
Thank you all, and thank you, speakers. It has been a very wonderful session, and we... Huh? Oh, I thought... Sorry. We have a shawl to present to Swamiji, by Swamiji. Yes, yes, yes. So we've had some wonderful speakers, wonderful talks, and we've had a wonderful audience. So thank you all for being here and being so patient, and hope that the take-home message is really taken home, and that we live each day to the best that we can be, and that we do the right thing. We just want to say that we do have refreshments. I know it's a little bit late, but we do have refreshments for everybody. Some of the special guests, we have some refreshments on the inside, but everybody else will be served, and happy to stay and chat and mingle. The ashram is open, so please do not just leave, but if you have to, we understand. And just be safe as you get home, and thank you all once again for being here. While we have this little thing, we'll ask Shivanan and Narendra to do a couple little things, tunes for us, and to keep us entertained while we have our little refreshments. Thank you all, and Sitaram.
This concludes Brahma Vidya Peetham International's The Conscience of Democracy, Ethics, Good Governance, and National Welfare. Thank you for choosing Real TV, brought to you with the kind compliments of the Fix-It Center and Suku's Limited.